I wonder if you make, if you take any exception, Corey, to anything that Ronald Rowe said today. Does the campaign feel it has everything that it needs? What did it make of Rowe's statements today during this press conference?
Well, listen, what do we hear? We hear that they're going to use cutting edge technology going forward. They're going to coordinate with other agencies. Why wasn't this already being done? Third can fly a drone over a Donald Trump rally and tell you if there's someone standing on a roof. Obviously, we know there were massive security failures in Butler, Pennsylvania. And yes, the former director of the U.S. Secret Service resigned. But is that enough? The answer is no. And this is the first time in over 60 days we've had a detailed time frame of the failures that transpired in Butler, Pennsylvania. And listen, Blake, I know the men and women of the U.S. Secret Service who are on Donald Trump's protective detail. We eat meals with them on a daily basis. They're the very finest that this nation has to offer. But that being said, the leadership must be held accountable for not providing the protection that this man should have and is now entitled to. And only this week did his protective detail move up to a presidential level detail.
Corey, let me ask you about some of the policies that the president has talked about. In the last couple of days, he brought up the issue of capping credit card interest rates, if you're late on your payments or if you owe on your credit card, to 10%. That would be a big deal if Donald Trump gets elected and if Congress takes that up. Mick Mulvaney, contributor here on NewsNation, Donald Trump's former White House chief of staff, said this about that proposal. I want to get your reaction on the other side.
I'm not sure who's advising him. Where's my camera? My camera's there. Mr. President, please stop talking to the people or taking advice from the people who tell you to out-Democrat the Democrats. Republicans always lose doing that. This is a terrible, terrible piece of policy.
What would you say to Mick there?
Look, I know Mick well. Look, Mick has barely made a living kind of being a contrarian to Donald Trump since he's left, and Mick's a friend of mine. But the truth is, the people of this great country have been stifled because of the economic policies of the Biden-Harris-Walz administration. And so Donald Trump has proposed some very clear agenda items, which include no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security, so that you can have more of your money. He's also said
when did Republicans, though, Corey, when did Republicans become the party of no tax on a lot of things? We're going to give you this for free, that for free. I mean, I think part of what we're seeing here is down the stretch, the Republican nominee saying, you know what, I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that. Since when was that the Republicans' position?
Well, Blake, it's only the Republicans' position because of the draconian policies of this administration where every American family is worse off today than they were 4 years ago. And so we have to do something to give these people relief. They can't afford to both feed their families and put fuel in their car and heat their homes. Look, winter is coming. Where I live, heating oil is expensive. Because of the Biden-Harris-Walz administration, everything is more expensive. So if we don't give some economic relief and stop giving that relief to every other country around the world, then we're only doing ourselves a disservice. So Donald Trump wants to give you, the American taxpayer, the opportunity to spend your money more efficiently as opposed to the government doing it.
I would just note that the Trump team jumped on Kamala Harris for price gouging, as she put it, by saying that was price controls. You could certainly make the argument on this side that it's just a different form of price control. I do want to move on, though, Corey. Mark Robinson in the state of North Carolina. The details are out there. The stories are out there. You can read it if you want. He denies it. Instead of what he did or claims, let me ask you about the politics of this. Does the Trump campaign believe that Mark Robinson will harm Donald Trump in the state of North Carolina?
Look, I don't really know what Mark Robinson claims or has done or hasn't done. I've read some of the speculation about it. I've heard his statements that say it's not true. I don't know what is true and what isn't true. I will tell you this. Donald Trump is at the top of the ticket in North Carolina. He's the first name on the ballot. He continues to have a commanding lead in that state based on the Real Clear Politics average, particularly when you look at where we were both 4 years ago and 8 years ago. Donald Trump has won North Carolina twice. And regardless of who the nominee is for governor or for other people or other races, people are showing up to vote for Donald Trump. And that's true not only in North Carolina, but in every state across this country. So we're not running with another candidate. We're running for the presidency of the United States.
Thank you for watching. And make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below.
to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.